worst part of working the night shift for a food delivery app was the bad tips or the occasional drunk driver. I was wrong. My name is Steven, and this happened to me on a Tuesday, November 14th. Is the reason I deleted the app, sold my car, and still sleep with the lights on. If you think you're safe behind your locked front door at night, you need to listen to this very carefully. It started at exactly 1:42 a.m. I was about to log off and head home when a notification popped up. It was a high-paying order, $34 for 3-mile drive. The drop-off was a suburban house on the edge of town, right where the streetlights start to thin out. The customer's profile name was just a single period. I don't think much about it at the time. People use weird names on these apps all the time. I accepted the order, picked up the food from a 24-hour diner, and drove myself into the dark. As I pulled down the street, my GPS told me I had arrived, but something felt off. Every single house on the block was pitch black except for the Target address. The porch light wasn't a standard yellow bulb. It was a harsh, flickering blue light that casted long, eerie shadows across the overgrown lawn. I checked the delivery notes. It said, "Leave on porch, do not knock, text when here." Standard drop-off? Right. I grabbed the bag, stepped out of my car, and immediately felt a shift in the air. It was freezing, and silence was heavy. I walked up the cracked concrete driveway, my sneakers making a loud, rhythmic slapping noise against the wet ground. When I reached the front door, I placed the bag down right next to the door. I pulled out my phone, took the standard confirmation photo, and typed a quick message. "Your food is on the porch. Have a great night." I hit send. Before I could even turn around to walk back to my car, my phone buzzed. A reply came instantly. "I don't see you." I frowned. I looked down at the food bag, then at the house number bolted to the wall right next to the blue light. It matched the app perfectly. I replied, "I'm right on the porch by the front door. Black bag." Another instant reply, "I'm looking at the porch. You're not there." A cold knob began to form in my stomach. I looked up at the front door. There's no windows on it, just solid painted wood. But to the right of the door was a large bay, wooden, covered by thick dark curtains. I looked closely at the gap where the curtains met. There was nobody there. The house looked inside, looked completely dark. I started back down the porch steps, keeping my eyes fixed on the house. I I definitely have the right house number. I left it by the door. I have to go do my next delivery. My phone rang. The caller ID showed the mass number generated by the delivery app. I didn't want to answer it, but my thumb hit the screen out of pure muscle memory. I put my phone to my ear. I said, "Hello?" There was no voice on the other end, just a heavy, wet breathing, and then a faint metallic sound like someone tapping a ring against a glass. The sound didn't come from the phone. It came from the house, but it didn't come from the front window. It came from the side of the house where the shadows completely swallowed the driveway. I scrambled back into my car, my heart hammering against my ribs. I threw myself into the driver's seat, locked the doors immediately. I started the engine, the headlights cutting through the darkness, illuminating the empty street ahead. I looked at my phone. The call was still active. The heavy breathing continued. Look, I stammered into the phone. "I left the food and I'm leaving now." Finally, a voice answered. It wasn't the voice of someone inside a cozy suburban home. It was a low, raspy, and sounded incredibly close. "The food isn't for me," the voice whispered. "Food is to make sure you stop the car." My eyes darted to my rear view mirror and the dim red glowing of my taillights. You step out from the side of the home. He was wearing a heavy, dark trench coat and a pale, expressionless silicone mask, the kind of thing like a distorted human face. But what made my blood run entirely cold was what he was holding in his right. It was a cold, heavy iron tire rod. And he wasn't just standing there, he was walking towards the rear of my car with terrifying, deliberate speed. I slammed the shifter into drive and stomped on the gas pedal. The tires spun into wet asphalt, letting out a loud screech, but the car barely moved forward. It jolted violently, the engine revving loudly, but something was holding it back. I looked at the dashboard, the tire pressure warning flash lights flashing. He slashed my tires while I was up on the porch. That was the metal clicking sound I heard, not a window pane, but the sound of blade puncturing my tires and hitting the metal rims. Through the rear view mirror, I saw the masked man. Close the distance, he raised the iron rod, ready to smash through my back window. Panic completely took over me. I didn't care about ruining my rims or destroying my car. I slammed my foot on the accelerator. The car roared and ruined, the rubber tearing away as the bear's metal rims gripped the asphalt with a shower of sparks. The car lunged forward, throwing the masked man off balance. He swung the iron rod, catching the rear back panel with a loud, deafening crack, but he missed the glass. I threw down the suburban street, the car shaking violently through a horrific grinding noise that echoed through the quiet neighborhood. I didn't stop until I reached a well-lit gas station 2 miles away. The gas station attendant saw my car. Somehow, historically, I was, and immediately called the police. When the officers went to the house, they found the delivery bag untouched on the porch. But the house itself, it was completely abandoned. The owners had moved out months ago, leaving it entirely vacant. The masked man had interpreted the delivery app automated system by using a stolen burner phone, waiting for a random target to pull up. The police never caught him. They did find footprints in the mud behind the house, leading into a dense patch of forest but the throat went cold. I quit delivering that very night, but the part that keeps me awake, the part that keeps me checking my windows, locking 5 times every night, and a week later, I looked for my camera roll, cleaning out my camera roll too. Then, when I came across the confirmation photo I took on the zoom in on the dark bay window next to the door. I hadn't noticed it in the dark, and the lights flashing had only illuminated the porch, but in ultra high definition photo, right in the tiny gap between the heavy curtains, you can see it clearly. 2 pale, unblinking eyes staring directly at me. He wasn't waiting at the other side of the house. He was inside, watching me on his porch. And he's still out there, waiting for the next delivery. Have a good night of sleep, everyone.